And hey, folks, we are we are here today to chat with you about your summer plans. Like, what are you interested in doing this summer, or really isn't interested, but what are you planning to do this summer in terms of how you conduct your business? For those of you who are working in corporations, that might be fairly predictable planning. But for those of you that are doing your own development work, maybe you run a solopreneur shop or you're part of an agency, it might depend on what the seasonal behaviors are for your business. So, Storyteller and I are going to walk through that a bit today. And I just realized that I am not in the picture here. Here I am. So, Storyteller and I are going to walk through that today with you, and we're going to give you some feedback on how we're running our summers. And of course, if you are there in the chat and are willing to join us, we'd love to hear how you are doing yours. Um, the other part to that would be if you're in the chat and you're willing to come in and join us in the studio, we'll be posting the link to the studio there so you could join us. So it'll be great if we have one or two of our audience members who would like this impromptu opportunity to join us today. It will be a lot of fun to discuss the differences in how we actually go about running our businesses during the summertime. And with that, I think I should mention that this week, not last week, I made a mistake last week and said last week was episode 83. That was 82. This week is episode 83 of This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly newscast of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. And, I'm Alim Gafar running my mouth off from New York City today. And with me, I have, let's just bring this down here for a second, take this off, just so that we can see pretty faces.
Everybody, my name is Dvorak, aka Storyteller CZ. I am coming to you live from Prague in Czechia.
And this week, we're unfortunately not able to have Jan Küster with us. Jan has been struck with a bit of an illness. I don't know how much of it he wants us to talk about right now, but it's holding him back for a little bit. And we just are, right now, we're just hoping he recovers well and quickly. So I just wanted to do a shout out. Maybe he'll be joining us in the chat. And with that, let me just connect our chat for a minute so that we could see what's going on there. And I'm going to add back now our slides, okay? And with that, we'll get right into the news, okay? And the first story we've got is, I've been using Python for a while, so I know this is a JavaScript program. I just want to kind of mention something. And, we use loops a lot in Python, and it turns out that there's a package called NumPy that has a very efficient map function. And I ran into this article from Matt Smith that was written not too long ago. It's about a week ago, where he talks about, when to use the map and the for each methods. Now, you have a bunch of different ways that you can, and let me do this. I'm going to replace the screen share for a second with my screen. You have a bunch of different ways that you can go about looping over things in why am I having such a hard time right now just even thinking? Looping over things in JavaScript. And oh boy, I just closed my notes here for a second. So let me just try to bring that back because normally I can. Here we go. All right. So I'm running back and forth here on these things. Okay. So, so normally, like, you could just run a for loop, right, to go over an array of items, and you'll get the individual items back. You could actually do something more with it than I'm doing here. You could actually perform some kind of addition, for instance. Let's do I++, right? and hang on. Oh, I'm sorry. Array I, right? I'm not even thinking sometimes. I plus plus, right? And then console log array. Why am I only getting 2 here?
Because I is the index you are using. So if you add that in there, then
Oh, that's right. Okay.
you're going to
Array
go
I gets
much faster forward. And
yeah. Right. Okay. So you get something like that. So you can modify it as you go through. So you don't have to, you could do things to things in a for loop. And anyway, but there's some other things. So that's what the for loop does, and you can get the individual items out of the for loop, and you can point it that way. With the for each and the map methods, these are array methods. They're attached to the array themselves, the array object, and but they have a different purpose. So the for each runs through each element, right? And what it does is it returns the elements. So each of them, by the way, takes a function. I should point that out, and it returns different things. The for each returns just the elements themselves. You could do this. I'm not explaining myself very well today. This is not a good thing. And then what map does is map returns an entirely new array. And so when we run map, right, what we get is the output of map is some new array. The original array is not modified at all. And so you generate a brand new array and allows you to do different things on it. You could chain different method calls onto this and do further operations. So before I completely mess things up here, and by the way, was this visible enough on the screen?
yeah, for
Okay.
me, fine.
All right, terrific. So let me remove that now because I think I may have confused people more than I intended. I didn't intend to confuse. I was hoping to clear things up.
Yeah.
So anyway, the short of the story is you use map when you want to return an array, and use for each when you just want to iterate over each item in the array and do some operation. You do not get an array as a return object. So, yeah. Do you want to add to that?
Yes, there's actually this has been something that I have been looking into a little bit back, and
Sure.
I'm not sure if there has been an improvement. But one of the other thing is that the for loop, I've kind of at one point completely abandoned using it because I was using map and for each, and it was really nice. But later on, I've learned that there's you can do for of loop and other things. And the big thing was that the for loops or the for of loop is more performant than for each, which is why I switch going to that. And it also another big thing with that, it allows for asynchronous functions inside. If you use the for of loop instead of using for each, you kind of need to do a bit more magic with for each if you want to have async.
Do you have a I have not used for of, so do you have the syntax for that? Can you show an example?
Yes, let me.
For of.
Let's go, Alim, back to your back to one of your the for loop examples. I'll kind of guide you through it. Probably the first one where you had the array.
Yeah,
it's very simple. So maybe if you
give me 1 second here. So let me const array. Okay, so I'm going to do.
You need to switch the screen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hang on 1 second. So let's go back here. Replace. Right. So all right. So I'm going to drive here. We're going to just go. All right. So we're going to do for. What did I have before? I equals 0. Right. Did I have that? If I get 0.
Yeah.
Why am I having such a hard time? I really need to sleep before I do this. Give me 1 second here. Okay. So let me just go back to my notes here.
Yeah. So yeah, go back to your notes and copy that code. But so the usual format is, for, then you define, I as the index, you define how much, what is kind of the maximum, and then you kind of do the increment, which is fine. It kind of works because usually with arrays you just do array.length or something like that.
Yeah.
But that is then the beauty of the for loop, is that it really gets this down. So and you are using there, I think, Python stuff. So
Am I
what
using
it called
syntax?
Yeah, using
What is it? Array.len, right?
Array.length, yes. And the beauty of the for of loop is that if so,
Okay.
yeah.
All
so
right.
now we can already see there from you have the output as it should be 1, 2, 3. And I've posted, so the for of loop is, or Alim, if maybe you want to start another one there, so that you start for, and then it's in the brackets, you start with const, which you define the item. So let's just call it item of an array.
Okay.
And then you can do whatever you want, which, so if you do another console there, then console log item, and you see it will do the same thing.
Very
so
nice.
this is much easier shortcut.
Sure.
Again, you can use synchronous functions inside that loop, and it's much more performant than actually if you use for each.
Okay, so folks, if you want to get a good understanding of the difference between the and let's see who's here. Oh, I see that you posted. I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat for a minute, and the private chat you posted the for of syntax to me. I could have just copied it, but if you are interested in understanding, the differences, the distinctions between map and for each, then read the article. Otherwise, I think we have given you a demonstration of how they work. My understanding, by the way, is that both map and for each actually have the additional overhead of function calls and the execution of those function calls over for, right? So for is going to be much more performant on large data sets, but when it's relatively small, the impact is negligible. And you said for of is even more performant. Is that right?
Yeah. Compared to for each.
Okay.
I have not yet found a good replacement or more performance for map. I think there are, but that it was not nice. And another additional benefit, everybody should really know how to use the for of and for loop in general, because anytime where there are iterators, so in JavaScript, which allows iterators, you can use that as well, and usually that also means that given entity has for each as well. So this is the case for sets, maps, and all that stuff. So if you see that, if you see usually like the iterator, then you can use the for loops or for of loops as well in there. So definitely something that you should kind of have in your repertoire.
All right, cool. So let's go on to the next thing. What do you have for us?
So we have Storybook 9 beta has been released. Storybook originally came out of the Meteor project, and it's could say visual tool for kind of managing your components, testing them, and really Storybook 9 is taking that, I would say, to a new level. It has, component test widget, interaction testing, accessibility testing, more visual testing. It adds test coverage as well, and all of that within having, a lighter bundle. You can also now add tags, and it also provides for React Native for device and web. So really what we see kind of this, from being a tool for just the designers, this is becoming more and more a fully fledged tool that you can use even more for testing and maintaining your components in your application. So it's really moving forward. Right now it's in beta, so if you use Storybook, definitely give it a try. I still need to make some updates to my own code base before I can use it, but it's a different story. But definitely something to work or take a look at the article where they kind of explain all of the changes they made, and it's pretty amazing. So definitely check it out if you are using any component libraries.
Yeah, I've never used Storybook at all. So one day I'd like somebody to sit down with me and kind of walk through how to use it, because it's completely foreign to me.
Yeah,
and I know
it's especially good if you have more than yourself on a team.
Okay.
So if you have like a designer, then they can always go in. And now, especially with AI, actually, while I'm working on with my designer, is that we are using AI, and even he himself is kind of like going into the code and fixing colors, margins, and all that stuff. So he can just run Storybook, see the components there, and tinker with it to kind of so he can have like immediate feedback. And as we expand and probably start using more of the testing, then we can make sure that even like the new design doesn't break some of the things that we have in our test and so on. So for any larger team, it's good. And also some of the UI libraries use Storybook to kind of showcase all of the components, what's possible. And especially it's really good once your code base starts growing beyond you just as the original creator, or you start to having a lot of components. So when you're like in the upper tens or starting to get into the hundreds.
What I find really fascinating about Storybook is I remember when Aranoda released it many years ago. People forget that he built this, and the Chromatic team took over the maintenance of it afterwards. But it's really taken on a life of its own beyond the creator of it, because the creator, as far as I know, is no longer involved in this project at all. But it's a very successful open source project, and very cool. As I said before, have not used it, hadn't perceived a need to use it at the time, but would like to learn a little more about it. And maybe we could do a tutorial on using an interactive tutorial here or something on using Storybook. It would be kind of cool, and maybe I'll learn something, and hopefully others would learn how to use it too. All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and can you believe, speaking of UI tools and so on, can you believe that the Solid.js, I was about to say Svelte, but it wasn't. It's Solid.js framework has been around for now 10 years. It's actually been released for about 7, but for its entire life from its creation on, it's been around for about 10 years. And I found this out from an article I had read from Ray Carniato, who is the founder of that project. And it's in his This Is Learning blog. And he wrote this not too long ago, about a week ago, April 24th. And it is really a romp through the history of what motivated the creation of this, the struggles he had to market it and create awareness around it. And so if you like this kind of story, this kind of background, I think it's wonderful. So he's taken some time to kind of look back now on the journey that he's taken, and that if you want to say Solid.js has taken, he's captured that. And I think it's fun reading. It's good reading. I'm not going to say much more than that, because when I tried to be more interactive with the prior story, it just kind of didn't work out excuse me, as I planned. So let's move on to the next item, which is I think you have a number of different pieces of React news, right?
Yes, we have, you could say, two big pieces of React news, or it's kind of funny because a lot of these things that I will talk about when I watched earlier today Theo's video or breakdown of all the news coming in, there was a few times, see Solid, we are finally catching up to you. So that's that. But React has released a blog post titled React Labs, View Transition, Activity, and More, where they detail some of the upcoming features for React. And the two big ones that are coming up that are pretty much kind of stabilized and will be making it in the next few releases are transitions and activity. With transitions, that's in this particular what it's meant is the animation when you go from page to page. And there's a lot of cool things that you can do with it. The classical is just fade in, fade out, and but it can get super interesting and awesome looking. That for example, if you have a title of the post, and from a listing, and you go to the details page, you click on it, and the title just goes into the new place, expands, and many more. There they have quite a few demos there, what you can easily do with the upcoming transition component that they will be adding. And in a bit related to that is activity, which allows you to it's kind of, at first look, it seems to be the visibility hidden CSS tag with fancy things, but it's much more than that. It fixes, especially, or it helps you with preloading if you want to. What it does, it adds the you can add the component or whatever, but you can hide it visibility, and also it's not part of the DOM, but some of the underlying things like preloading data can run. So it's really when you're like doing the preloading, that's the kind of the main use case. Allows you kind of to do. There's some limitation on it. I would highly recommend for you to check it out, especially if that's something that bothers you. But with the transitions and activities, if you can kind of put it together, if you have like a list of articles, then you can make a nice transition, and you can do a lot of, thanks to activity, a lot of data preloading or other events. So that's the two big things that are coming through. But they also hinted at some of the other things that they have in development. They're just not as advanced yet. So they are working on better performance debugging, improving hooks by adding some new ones, and making some changes to make it much more easier. They are talking about gesture animation and React Compiler IDE plugin, among a few other things. So that is the big one that everybody's talking about. And related to that is that the React Compiler has reached the release candidate stages. React Compiler, what it does, it goes to your React code and optimizes it for performance, so that you don't have to do it yourself unless you're really zooming in. So it's kind of the quick fix of for your code base to quickly get some performance without you having to kind of spend hours or weeks trying to figure out, okay, what should be the dependency array here in this, how do I memorize this thing. It does all of that for you. Of course, it's probably not going to be potentially as performant as if you were more knowledgeable about it and did it yourself. But let's be honest, people who are really knowledgeable know how to do all these memorization, dependencies array, all those things properly and consistently. It isn't that big, so this really helps a lot. And so definitely, if you're using React and you don't have this already in now I think is a good time to check it out. And in a little bit, I can suspect that we will have a full release, and then I think that's kind of a must package to have if you have a React. And with that, if you like the news and all the topics we do, please make sure to leave a like on our video and somewhere down there. And we will be moving to Meteor News. And only a few news today. So release 3.3 is right now still in beta 0. We were promised beta 1 this week, but sadly the Spanish blackout kind of delayed us to next week, and there are some last minute kind of reports that they want to address before they release the new beta. So if you want to kind of test out some of the new things, you have to kind of run it from checkout, or you can stick on beta 0. That still is, there's a lot of performance boost when it comes to your build tools, which is the focus of Meteor 3.3, improving build tool speed and trying out how to make it more modular and allow for new technologies. Primarily, Nacho is kind of the main guy, but there are also other like ItaloJS and other who are working on this. So give it definitely a test. Again, reminder the forums, there are topics where you can submit your performance results, or you can email, or you can send them to Nacho. They are private messages, which helps them to focus where they should continue improving performance. And in general, check out this pull request with the release, especially if you have a large code base and suffer from slow build tools, because then this release is primarily for you. That said, on the forums, Gabs is asking the community what do you want to know about? What do you want them to focus on in their articles and videos? What are the topics that interest you? We want to know as well, but you can put that in there, and they will then make they will then look into providing content for that. So if you want to hear more about production scaling, then write it in the forums, and they will add that to their backlog. And in the Meteor community packages, we have a discussion about including Meteor Universe INTN. So if you have opinions, if you are using the Universe INTN package, let us know if we should take this project on. What do you think about it? And if the site's accepted, then that will be a new project that we'll have under the Meteor community packages. And finally, there is an article from Alexandre Penombre. He writes, "From hype to comeback, rediscovering MeteorJS 3.0. And he kind of talks about how 3 years ago he built a Trello cone, and he did that again this year with Meteor 3.0 and Tailwind CSS. And now his experience with that, it's a very short read. Definitely would recommend everybody to give it a read. And I want everybody to go there and make sure to, if you have the Medium accounts, to clap and give this article some coverage so that other people can find their way to it, and we get more coverage on that, and maybe some people will rediscover Meteor as well.
That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right, we we have some questions coming in from Mike. So Mike is asking about the 3.3 release. Will it improve the build tools? And hang on. And is there a prerequisite change needed for this update?
So the focus primarily is on the build tools or on the build tools. So that's where all is happening. It's under the hood. There is no prerequisites or anything that you need to do in your app. There are some additional options that you can enable. Particularly, there is any options how to just focus on the building the modern bundle, which is highly recommended because that speeds you up as well. It's just a simplification of the already existing flags. But other than that, it will just work out of the box. Or so far, it has for me. I don't think that's going to change that much. So yeah, that's there won't be any. There shouldn't be any issues in that. And if there is like a required change, then it will be well communicated here and in the changelog.
Okay, so you see Simon has a little comment here. We haven't seen Simon in a couple of episodes, so hi Simon, it's really great to see you again. Simon, Simon, tell me the country that you're reporting from again. You're not reporting, but texting in. Simon's in Africa, someplace, and it's always great to see him. We also have some other Africans because we always forget that Egypt is part of Africa too. But on the full continent that we always talk about, it's really nice to see some others over there. We have Min from the Far East, right? And I don't know where Mike is. Mike is hailing from, so it'd be kind of neat to find out where Mike is coming in from. And we also have Tonu, and I don't know where Tonu is texting from, but hopefully we'll hear from him in a minute. And there is a side chat that's going on with regard to a topic that comes up from time to time, which is, how is AI? Hang on a second, let's just see. What do you think the future of data science versus programmers? And I think the impression I get from data science here is not so much data science, because data science is a discipline that includes programming. So I think what Tonu might be asking about is what we've been playing with, which was this vibe coding and the impact it might have. So we have a side chat going on about this right now on the chat. If anybody's interested in continuing on that, we're doing that. Oh, look at that. So Simon says he's texting from Liberia now. Okay, but that's not always where he is, right? He says he is Ghanaian, but he moved to Benin, from Benin to Liberia recently. Oh, wow. So you are all over the continent in Africa. That's awesome. Min has dropped in with this pace of AI development. We'll need to redefine the developer concept. I agree with him. So I think this side conversation that we're having here in the chat is something that if you're interested, you could drop in and you could engage in that also. But that to me would be an entire episode in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right now,
I have just sorry.
Else. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, when it comes to the AI recently, being on Tuesday, I've heard from a lawyer that actually we might see a decline in corporate or in startups, the use of AI, because there is always the question of ownership, and that might be used to drive down, say, acquisition price and everything, because they might go, the code has been generated from a large part by AI. That's the question of ownership, and if the code should be open source, so we cannot pay you as much as we wanted for the startup.
I think we should have this as a separate discussion. If people want to chat about it, they're free to chat about it. But today we're doing what are we doing over the summertime? How do you organize yourself? Do you get involved in big projects? Do you go to lighter things? Things like that. By the way, Mike has added in here that as Meteor Times improve build tools, do you think they'll continue adapting Vite for the future? And then, he has said, does it worth diving into the Vite package? Mike, I believe that the team is looking to replace the build tool, the Meteor build tool, with Vite. Am I wrong about that?
So that's one thing on the table. All of these things that are right now being built and explored is to make the build tool more modular, so that you can actually swap things out.
Okay.
And Vite is one of the kind of, I could say, potential end goal, because they are looking to see, okay, can we actually make the current build tool faster? Can we optimize it so that, and also part of this is including benchmarks, so that they can run the benchmark with the current build tool and then compare it, what if we add Vite or something else in there, and then see what is more performant, and that's going to then dictate what's going to be the default in the future.
Okay, so have we asked everybody to subscribe? I know we have that bell up there, but I don't know if we actually asked them because I wasn't listening.
No.
All right, folks, if you haven't had a chance to do so yet, we would love it if you would join the membership of this community and hit the subscribe button. Let's keep on moving towards 350. We're at 336 right now. It'll be nice to see that increase by 1 or 2 at the end of this episode. And obviously, if we could get more, we would love to have you all. So let's keep on growing this community online here. And with that, I think we're going to get into our main discussion topic today.
Indeed.
Right? And that is, what's your summer roadmap? What do you do for the summertime? And I think the idea here is we're going to share our own experiences, our current experiences, maybe past experiences that we've had in terms of how summers get organized and what it means for work and what it might mean also for the availability of you for participating in things like these podcasts or meetups or anything of that sort. So it really does have a bearing on how we're able to interact with each other and who's available in the community and whether or not folks are really of the mindset that they want to learn new things or if they're sort of like on the beach already. So how do you want to proceed with this, storyteller?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oops, apologies. Let me jump right there, but I think we can kind of focus on ourselves.
Sure.
I'll probably start kind of, how I see summer lately for me.
Well, let's structure this. Let's talk about, how you've done it in the past.
Yeah.
Right. And then, what does it look like this summer? And are there confounding issues or are there, issues that you are facing right now that are forcing you to structure things this way and, versus some preferred structure that you might have? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I kind of go probably how summer has evolved for me. So back in the days, many, many moons ago, summer was, summer vacation, going somewhere, exploring new things. And in the meantime, maybe trying some new technologies. That was usually around, the school. At university, I've added to it it was like a summer internship. So it was kind of preview of what it's going to be after school for me. And as the more I kind of went into the startup ecosystem, but like even at work, summer, after school, it kind of for me ended the time for vacations. So it kind of became just a regular time for work. And actually, I prefer to kind of take my vacation out of season because less people and everything. Not that I really had that much lately. But lately it hasn't really changed for anything except I have to kind of take into account the availability of the people. So that's kind of how it is. And usually I have something planned out. And big part what has kind of become in a way a bit of a problem is the weather. Because now as the temperatures rise, it's getting hot, and in Europe we don't have ACs, so we are steaming in our room. So unless you are like in a big office building that has ACs, or if somehow figure out how to very nicely cool your space, it becomes super hot and we have, of course, spikes in the pressure reading. So I've kind of need to figure out from the Italians and Spanish how to properly do siestas. Now that I experienced the heat waves, I have to take that into account so that I actually. So I think this year what I have to really take much more into account, because like even now I'm here, I'm sweating and it's uncomfortable. So I have to take into account that I will probably move my working time into the early morning hours.
Oh, okay.
And I think by noon till evening, that will be just time for something else, and then I will probably try to go sleep early or something like that. So that is something kind of like on day-to-day basis that I have to figure out, or maybe I just need to go somewhere where they have ACs. That's like kind of the general day-to-day basis of how things change to me. The idea that I would work, at a beach or anything like that, let's be honest, that's a pipe dream. If I'm like at a resort, the idea that I'm just going to come and open my laptop there, it's not happening. That's
the thumbnail doesn't work for you then, right?
No.
That's not how it's going to be.
Yeah. Plus, I'm programming, I'm running Meteor and some other heavy programs. So if I took my laptop or something like that, I would fry it. In that kind of environment.
I will tell you, when I've been in a hot environment and I've been running a laptop, my laptop has shut down. When I'm outside. So I've tried to do like programming outside in the summertime, and when it gets over 90 degrees Fahrenheit here, after a while the laptop just can't deal with it, and it stops. And after that happened a couple times, I was worried that I was actually damaging it, so I stopped doing that. The other thing is on the beach. I'm not very much a beach person, but I have tried the beach thing with a laptop, because years ago I knew a Wall Street broker who told me that he did deals on the beach. And so I once went down and tried to do that. But the wind would blow the sand, and I was really worried that the sand would get into the air intakes in the laptop and damage it. So after I've encountered that, where I've had sand on my keyboard, and now the keyboards are a lot nicer, but 10, 15 years ago, you had keyboards where there were gaps between the keys, and sand could get in there, right? And then you have to figure out how you're going to get all that cleaned out. You turn it upside down, try to shake it. It doesn't always work. So for those reasons, like the beach fantasy that I have about like going and working on the beach is really hard. The other thing too, to me, is the glare outside on the screen. So trying to work when you have such glare, I haven't had a good solution. If anybody has a good solution for that, then Dmitry has some libraries are free and should have AC. Good point. But we're not necessarily. I don't know too many libraries that are on the beach that have like a sand patio, and by the water, and let you come in your bathing suit. So
in our case, like in Prague, for example, the central library and everything, they are in historical buildings, so they might be cooler because it's the walls are thicker and everything.
Sure.
But that's no guarantee there. I think maybe like potentially what I can envision, maybe instead of a beach, the mountains. So being in the mountains, so it's cooler, more comfortable, because like that's like another thing. If you have too much heat, then I don't the thinking doesn't go as well. So
the
that
other
plays
thing,
a part.
Yeah, the heat actually makes me very sleepy. But the other thing I would say is, we could call up our friend, we could call up our friend in Finland. The one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And see if like what is it like actually, in Finland during the summertime? Is it nice and cool? Is it very hot? I don't know anything about Scandinavia, and what that's like. By the way, Min just wrote, Hang on, let me put it up there. You must see my custom laptop cooler system, the best design in the world. Okay, I'm gonna be very cheeky. What is it? Okay,
Yeah.
hang on. I'm not gonna tell you what I'm writing. I'm gonna just show it to you in a second.
Yeah. So I was thinking, in the mountains, probably like maybe like some gazebo, preferably with screens against the spawn of hell, aka insect. That so that they cannot get in. That would be really, because then I'm in the nature. You have the fresh air. It's it's mountain. It's not crazy, and I have shade. So so that would be kind of my potential idea setup. If I can figure it out and afford it, then I was again thinking Japan and go into the mountains there or something like that. But pretty much anywhere in Japan would be fine to kind of be over the summer. Though problem with Japan is that the summer is known as hell because it's hot, humidity is through the roof, and it's crazy. But they have ACs and they have cool festivals, fireworks. So there's a lot of good things. While here, like in Prague or in Czechia in general, everybody goes to see, and it's nothing is really happening at home. So that's kind of the problem. So Japan, for that reason, with the ACs, all that stuff, would be for me interesting destination in summer as well. Probably no longer for me for tourism because it's just crazy hot, as I said, hell. But yeah, that's kind of for the environments for me. Alim, muted. Alim, you're muted, or is it just me? I don't hear. Let me double check my headphones. Okay, I cannot hear you. Let me just quickly check my. Okay, apologies. Okay, so that's something on my side. Apologies about that. Just stop without warning. Okay, let me just quickly reconnect and see if that fixes it.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you fine now. Not sure what happened there. And
I know what happened. I did hit the mute button when my Alexa was going off. I'm sorry, guys. So I'm chatting for a bit, and the thing is, my Yeti, I have it angled so I don't see the button. So that was my technical difficulty. I apologize, guys. I know that I kept on flapping my mouth, but nobody heard anything, and I thought I was okay. So there is that. I want to just point out, by the way, that Dimitri asked if anybody is going to Limassol for the Reflect Fest conference this year, and he says that it's happening. Where is that? It's happening the 15th to 18th, which is really soon.
Yeah, it's in Cyprus. I was considering it, but right now, sadly, it's not on my. I didn't get like any of these special tickets like I got last time. So
yeah,
and it's right now. It's like so May and June are going to be super busy for me because we are launching Meteor Universe officially. So.
Unfortunately for me, like I two things. It's short notice, and and it's the travel cost for going. And we also have some issues with knowing what things cost in terms of tariffs. So, I'm not looking to spend any money anytime soon on things that I really just don't know. So anyway, that's yeah. So it'll be great to see Dimitri again, because I haven't seen him in a while. Either on this or well, I don't think I've ever seen Dimitri in person, but you have, right?
Yes, which was at the last year's Reflect Festival. So we met there, and he lives on Cyprus in the mountain, as far as I remember. So he came down to the sea. So we had a nice chat, and it was a great atmosphere there. So
speaking of Cyprus, have you been in touch with our friend Dan?
Not really. I've been so busy with everything that I haven't had much time to really.
So the last time we were chatting with Dan, he was building a house in Cyprus, and I was kind of curious as to, if he's finished at this point, or how things are going. That's over a year now, right? It's probably almost 2 years. Since we haven't seen Dan. Is it Dornfeld? Was the last name?
Yeah.
We haven't seen Dan Dornfeld in a while. So hope everything's great with him, and this tariff issue.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, Alan, we've covered kind of the location. So let's go maybe to the higher level planning.
I'll tell you my situation, right? So in the past, I've worked for big corporations, and summers are always very predictable in a way. There are a couple of things that make it less so, but because you have a lot of people, you have coverage. And so because you have coverage, people are able to say, okay, I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to take 2 weeks. I'm going to go away and do something. And most people tend, as a general rule in North America, for many companies, is your vacation package is usually like 2 weeks, plus then you get some holidays on top of that. So some people go away for a week. Some people wait and accrue all 2 weeks, and then they go away for 2 weeks. And we've seen the gamut of this. Personally, when I was newly married, my wife and I would take like a week and go away to travel to Europe or someplace else, right? Australia, whatever, to just go and spend some time getting away. And then when we had our daughter, then it was a lot closer home, and often it was just spending time with family. And then as family members got older, we would take time off instead to help take care of elderly family members, and we'd kind of like put a block of time for that. So how we've spent our summer has really been impacted by the different stages of life we're in, and it also depended on the kind of company that you worked for. So once I went to working for myself, it's changed a lot. And, with sort of the need to make money, there is less predictability sometimes in terms of when jobs come in. So if a project comes in and you need to work on it over the summer, you work on it over the summer. That's what I do. On occasions, what we've done is we've gone on holiday where we've basically like taken the office with us, right? So I will just pack a laptop and any other resources I need and bring it. I remember going to Disney World with my family, and they would go off during the day to the amusement park, and they would, ride the rides and do whatever. And I would stay in and work. And then once the late afternoon, evening came in, then I would go and spend time there with them. So that is a memory I have of how it has been. I know many people, many firms will reduce the important work that they might have to do over the summertime, simply because they know that employees want to take a break and they want to get out. So they'll, either, pull back and do a lot of the more involved work earlier if they can plan it that way, or after the summer. And it also depends on like your client needs too. So, yes, you might have one or two projects that go on. I've had those when I was working with the cable industry and the telecom industry, where we would have one or two of our clients that were doing implementations over the summertime because it had less of an impact on their downstream clients. So it became time for them to do some of that, most important upgrade work during that period. And so, we actually don't get the benefit of using the summer in the same way that way. So lots of different variations there. My summer this summer is going to be really doing less client work right now and more portfolio work, because I am really still trying to push myself into the area of digital transformation with AI and data science tools. So I haven't built that practice up well yet, and I'm working on it. And so this is how I'm planning on using my summer. My daughter works full time during the summer, so we don't really have an opportunity to get away, or she doesn't have an opportunity to get away. And then at the very late part of the summer, which we would call the high season, right, late August, she has to return back to school for her job. And so my wife and I and my daughter, we just kind of like focus on helping with that prep. So we take our vacation, if you want to call it that, in late September typically now. And yeah, that's kind of how it goes. So, again, like you, the off season, and not so much for anything other than it's just the summer seems to be busier than ever. I'm involved in youth sailing, and our youth sailing programs are at their peak during the summertime. So that's when that business, if you want to call it that, is being run. So, when everybody else is vacationing, I need to be available, and in a number of different ways. So it really kind of limits my ability to get away during the summertime. And to be honest with you, there are fewer and fewer places I want to go during the summertime because of the tremendous heat, And I haven't really explored a lot of northern options because it just seems to be against my historical perspective of what summer is.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I think I have to adjust my thinking and emotional response to where to go during the summertime, to the reality of how the world has changed since I was a kid. So, in the end, that's it. And by the way, as a child growing up, I didn't really have a summer because my dad was a teacher, and he thought that we should not be spared any education during the summertime. So we had school at home during summers. So it wasn't fun to be me when I was a kid. So in the summertime. So yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe instead of going north, you can also go south, way south, and you can.
Oh yeah. It's wintertime down there, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but if you stick somewhere on like Brazil or the northern parts of South America, it's still going to be nice and warm. So, you can ask the people in Meteor software all about that. Kind of looking, the problem I had the couple last summers is that I was sick.
Yeah.
So I had Lyme disease, that I had whooping cough, all that stuff. So most of the time in the summer, I couldn't really even go outside, and it's been a pain. And so that's a problem. So for me, I'm now kind of looking, especially now that we are hopefully launching Meteor Universe and getting that started. I'm kind of looking at three scenarios. What's definitely going to happen is beginning summer, so either end of May or sometimes probably in June, we'll have an official launch of Meteor Universe. A few weeks after that, me and a few other guys, we are going to kind of sit down and see what's the status, how do we see kind of going it forward, and from that we kind of going to determine what would be the next step. It really isn't going to change my summer that much, because one big thing that I have to get over summer done is all the preparations for Meteor Impact. That's now a bit on the low, but it will really ramp up over the summer. I'll start preparing talks, getting sponsors, and all that stuff, and hopefully as well meet development and Meteor, the Meteor universe. But I kind of have like the 3 steps. One, business as usual, just coding and managing day-to-day stuff. Probably with the adjustment for summer that I'll have to learn, gonna switch my clock to be up early and gonna avoid the heat as much as possible. So I'll have to kind of get into that. Then there is kind of the good option, which things really start up, and I have to now manage the universe much more better and have to expand, which I think there would be a potential that I would be traveling more, and I would maybe even ultimately going back to Japan. So that's kind of the best route. And the worst part is kind of similar to the business as usual, but things don't pan out in any way. So I'll have to start looking at some more additional option. But in that case, I would probably take the summer to really de-stress and kind of recharge. So because one of the big thing is, since I'm constantly, looking on the news, not just political, technical, and everything else that comes in, because there's just so many things that go into literary universe. So that I would probably go the one of the podcasters. I don't really watch him anymore, but used to back in the days, Dave Rubin. And what he does is, I think in August, he takes the entire month of August off. He logs his mobile phone, in a safe. He has like a designated person that can tell him any news. But other than that, it's like a blanket blank, no news, no nothing. Maybe go to into a jungle for a couple of weeks or anything. Just completely. Complete detox, technology detox. So that is definitely something I want to do as well, because he says that we really need the month, because the first week you're kind of still your fingers are twitching and you kind of want the what's the news, what's going on, and then kind of you get over it, and it really helps your mental health. So that would be something that I would be potentially looking at, probably not this summer, but maybe in some small scale.
Okay. That, I was going to say, it sounds like you haven't settled on what your summer is going to look like yet. But but you're saying no, your summer is settled. You have these things, but this is something that you would like to try.
Yeah, this is definitely going forward this summer, but especially since we have in fall impact, it's definitely not going to happen, because I kind of need to work on it. But I would definitely at least like a week of detox or something like that. But again, after we launch with the universe, we'll have kind of like a meeting to analyze how things are going. If there is future in what we are doing, if what we kind of want to do, that will dictate how the summer is going to look at, which is right now what I'm planning is business as usual, and maybe 1 or 2 trips somewhere, maybe with the family or something like that. There's a few more things on my personal side, but that's, again, depends on how everything else will be going as well. So it's kind of like the 3 scenarios I'm looking at right now. Just focus. Okay, it's going to be business as usual. Going forward, and we'll see if it will be more boring and allow me for relaxation, or if it will be super exciting going in that direction. And that would be kind of, I think, my advice to everybody as well, to kind of plan 2 or 3 potential routes, so that and kind of find what is the commonality between them,
Yeah.
what you can plan for sure, and then kind of leave the rest operational as much as possible.
I think what you're pointing out is it's really hard to strap it down when you're a solopreneur, right? I think it's a lot more structured when you're in a company, and it has to be because you're dealing with a lot of different people's schedules. So anyway, so in your case, you have to have options on the table. In my case, I know where my summer is going to be. I know what I can do with it and what I can't. But I also know the kind of work I'm going to be doing for the summer, and I'm making a very conscious effort on that. So I think what we're seeing is we're seeing a number of different things. I'm kind of curious. It doesn't seem like there's a right or a wrong, but I think depending on the circumstances that you're in, your choices may vary. So with that, I think we've exhausted this. I'd like to move on to wrapping up, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Okay. So what do we have here? Oh, okay. Yes. This was a fun thing. This was a fun little thing that I found. I don't know if you guys have seen these split display boards. They used to be very, very popular. You see them in all movies at the train stations, or maybe at the airport, where you have like the destination of the train, and then the time that it's going to show up, or the gate that it's going to be going from, and or the train number, or whatever it might be, the flight number if it's a flight. And then when there's any change, these little things that they're mechanical, that have the letters and the numbers on them, they rotate through, and then they either form a new word, or they form the new destination, they form the new time, and so on. And they're noisy. They go clack, 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 right, as they change. And now they're all replaced with digital signage, and you don't see them anymore. But there are people that find them to be fun. They're nostalgic. There's a lot of joy that people get from this. And there's a company that's called Vestaboard that produces these things, and you can buy them for your office, for your room, or whatever, and you can hook it up to a computer, and you can have it drive information there. And I have to say that I used to work with this guy, Albert, who's now passed on, and he was a great guy. And he was VP of engineering, and he ran our engineering team at SpeedCycle. And when we were automating our code workflow for the first time, he had tools like this, that when you were checking code in, and then you were doing your, and then it was doing the automated tests and so on. If anything failed, we would get a visible signal. There was a light that would go off that would say, oh, somebody's check-in didn't pass. And then that would allow you to see, like, visibly, oh, you didn't have to be at your desk staring at your computer to notice that it didn't pass, right? So there are people that take these signs and they use that for that purpose also. They use it either for, some kind of notification, or they use it just for fun stuff. I've seen people use these signs to let family members know that they've left the house, or that you have to go buy milk and some other vegetables, and and not other vegetables, but vegetables and whatever, groceries. So they're fun signs, but they're freaking expensive. They're over $1,000 for each of these things. And what was really, really cool is that there's this person. Their name is Jay, and it's got some funny squiggly thing. I can't even tell you what it is, but from their blog, The Craft of UI, has written an article called "Time Travel with JavaScript," and it is a tutorial on how to build one of these visually with JavaScript. And I think it's fun. And if you're interested in something like this, but you've said to yourself, I can't do it because they are too expensive to go out and buy a board, what you could do is you could get yourself a relatively cheap large TV, right? and build the application and then run it on that. And I'm thinking of maybe doing that as a project, just kind of seeing how it would go and look on one of my screens and then going from there. So anyway, I thought I'd share it with you because I thought it was kind of cool, and perhaps it might be something that you might want to take on as a project. And what would be really, really cool is to take the code that they have, it's in JavaScript, and modify it so that it runs with MeteorJS. Now that would be really cool. And who's up for the challenge? All right. With that, I'm going to pass this on to you. Now, do you have anything you want to add about this? Do you think this is interesting?
It's a lot of fun with things like these, especially that you can then, so as I said, just get a big TV or something and put it on like at an event, or have fun with that.
It'll be kind of interesting to see how that works out. All right, guys, let's move on. I think we have a reminder coming up.
Yes, I've mentioned it already. Meteor Impact is coming in September. And let's jump to the website here, September 25th right now.
Nice.
We are looking for three things from you right now. So if you are a company or would really get much more into it, you can become a sponsor. Right now we have only two sponsors, Meteor Universe and Meteor Dispatches. We are looking for more, and you can find the sponsorship packages there, and we can of course negotiate something else as well. If and I'm looking, Dimitri, at you, are interested in having giving a talk or doing something else for the schedule, then you can submit a talk proposal, which will come to my email, and I'll then be reaching out to you, and we can organize things up. And finally, and this is for everybody, it says registration coming soon, because I still don't know if we'll have to maybe charge some small fee or something. But right now, instead, what we have is that you can sign up here for updates. If we don't have to, have any price for it, then just signing up this form is like signing up for Meteor Impact. So go on in, you can sign in. At the bare minimum, I just need an email, and then anything extra is good. I would highly encourage you to fill in your country if you can, and your username, so that I can at least make maybe some nice map of attendees and where they are from, which I think would be super cool. So this is how you sign up for Impact, and it's all live on impact.meteorjs.community. We are using the awesome new your domains. So that's how you can sign up and everything. And I hope that you guys sign up, and hopefully maybe send us some interesting talks that we can add to our schedule.
Very cool. So it's I would say actually that when they sign up, it's like a pre-registration, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if there is no future charge, then you don't have to worry about it. You're already there, but you've locked in your seat, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think that's go sign up right now. It doesn't hurt you one way or the other. If there is going to be a charge, then what will happen is it'll go out to that mailing list, and you'll learn about it, and then you can decide whether or not you want to attend. But you're not obligated at that point, I think.
Yeah. And if there's a charge, then since you'll be on this early sign up, then you will get a discount.
All right.
So it's win-win for
great.
you, no matter what happens.
Looks nice, and I'm looking forward to playing with the test server and seeing how that goes. Maybe what we should do is try to do some talks on that test server, and just so that we can test it out. If anybody wants to do some kind of a presentation, because they might think that they might want to do a talk at Impact and are not sure, I would say reach out also. You could put it into the YouTube chat that you're interested and give us a way to get in touch with you, and then we'll take it from there. If you're not comfortable with putting email addresses, and I don't suggest it in our YouTube chat, go to the YouTube information for the channel, and you will find the email address for the channel. I believe it's MeteorJScommunity@gmail.com, and you could send it to that, and Jan will get that information, and you know, we can go from there. We can get you set up. But we'd love to see more and more of you get onto the stage here and share what you know, share what you've learned, share what you love, share what you've done, you know, share what frustrates you. I think that's the only way we learn, right? By sharing this information with each other. And that's what we try to do here. And hopefully you got something out of it. All right. And here we go. Yeah. So Dimitri says, got to prepare some. He's talking about, you know, what you said. We should ask audience what they wish to learn about, or Twitter or forum, for example. Yeah, definitely we need to get more interaction and discovery on this.
Yeah, but remember, in the news, there already is a topic from Meteor Software asking you about what you want to learn. So you can already go in there and you know, put it in there, and I will be rating that channel to get some inspiration as well. So even if you don't know what, you know, talk you might want to do, you can just check out that forum topic and maybe get inspired.
All right. And with that, guys, I'm going to say we've been around too long today. So have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.